Let's go, people, let's go. It's prognosis negative time.
Hi, this is Eric, and welcome back to this Prognosis Negative presents Cinema Quickie number 6. Finally, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So this is a good movie, or decent at least, but I have a lot of buts. Let me try to get through it because I have a lot of jumbled thoughts right now. Number 1 issue. Something weird is going on with the pacing and editing of this movie. There is a lot thrown into this movie. It actually almost feels like 2 movies or almost a trilogy of movies that have been slammed together into like a mini cut. Like as if this movie's supposed to be 5 or 6 hours, but they've crammed it and tried to trim it down to 2.5. I don't know if that sounds weird, but there's so much going on, and a lot of the action sequences, while they are kind of inventive in the original indie way, like in the 80s type of way, they go for far too long. Even the ones that are enjoyable go for far too long. And then as a result, there's other parts of the movie, like transitionary times, where things happen super quick. Like sometimes multiple micro events happen in literally like 13 seconds of screen time. Sometimes multiple things will happen. It's very strange. It's like the movie is going at regular time, slow time, quick time, and it's constantly transitioning. If you've seen the movie, I think you'll kind of know what I'm talking about. There's some new side characters, one who was in the trailer and one who I don't think was ever in any trailer or any promotional materials. And generally, I don't really like either of them. They're not as cool. And it's weird because like the 2 main new ones in particular are quite adversarial towards Indy, and that's nothing new. Like that's the kind of dynamic Indy had with his companions in the 80s as well. But for some reason, these new companions, there's something else about them that doesn't feel fully formed, and they're not fully likable the way Short Round was, or Marion was, or whomever, or even Connery. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about the new companions that makes them feel more snobby. I don't know. I have to think about that more, about why they don't feel right. They do have their redeeming moments and qualities here and there, but not enough for balance for me. Another thing, another element, another trope that is used to death in this movie is the cat and mouse games, is what I'll call it. And again, this is not new. This very much existed in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and pretty much, yeah, all the classic indie movies where someone's getting kidnapped, someone's getting freed, the bad guys run off, the good guys run off, but then somehow the good guys catch up to the bad guys, and the bad guys catch up to the good guys. But it takes that concept that's always been part of Indiana Jones, and it just goes wacky wild with it. And it's already a trope that I don't like anyway, in general. And there's just so much of it that I just had to just kind of make myself numb to it. Otherwise, there's no way I could get through the movie. But this might just be a personal hang-up that doesn't affect everyone else as much as it affects me. Mads Mikkelsen, I mean, he's kind of amazing in almost anything he's in. He's almost like an alternate Christoph Waltz. But that man, somehow he was made to wear a Nazi uniform. And I will leave it at that. As has been an issue in the previous indie movie and most modern movies in general, there is a bit of annoying CGI here and there. It's not as bad as many other movies, i.e., e.g., The Flash. It's not that egregious at all. But it's still annoying when I can feel it when it does rear its little CGI head. And it's something that takes away from, some of the action sequences are somewhat impressive in how, I guess you could say, they were storyboarded for this movie. But if there's something that's really lacking in this compared to the originals, it's you can't duplicate or replicate the feeling that comes from practical effects or real stuntmen doing real stunts live in person right there. It's, I don't know, there's impressive happenings in these action sequences in this movie, but it would have been a better balance to turn it down on the creativity and acrobaticness if you traded that for real men doing real stunts. Like, it'd be more worth it to tone down the antics if you included real people. I don't know. It is what it is. It's not that bad. It's just like a little annoying thing in this movie. So Act 3 is the big climax of the movie. I'm not gonna spoil it outright for anyone, but let me just say that I got questions about the whole thing. And I'm not even talking about the quote-unquote science. I'm not even talking about that. It's just so many weird things happen in Act 3, and you can kind of, like, you can see the mechanics of the screenplay. You can kind of see behind the curtain of Oz and see the mechanics of how they constructed Act 3 so that it could even work. Again, I'm not even talking about the magic science. Put that aside. It's just, you can see the machinations, and it kind of makes it feel strange and manufactured and as if there's obvious figurative plot armor going on. So Act 3 is kind of cool, but it feels like it feels somehow manufactured or fake. Like, so you can't fully enjoy it. Or again, maybe I'm just speaking for myself. There is, I suppose, a poignant ending or button on the end of our story, however brief. Is it earned? I don't know, but it wasn't bad. But perhaps we deserved more of it, because it is, like many things in this movie, another flash in the pan. So kind of my overall summation of this movie is, this movie feels like if we had an AI even more advanced than what people have been currently playing with, but if we had this even more advanced AI and someone told it, hey, here, we're gonna feed you all the indie movies that exist, 1 through 4, and now we want you, new super AI, to conjure up a 5th Indiana Jones movie. And so that's what this whole movie feels like to me. But this is an advanced AI. It's pretty good at its job. Yet there's something that still feels amiss. And maybe a way I can distill this down a little bit further is, for instance, the score of the movie. You hear all the familiar themes that you're expecting in an Indiana Jones movie. But I was wondering, as I was sitting there, is this by John Williams, or is this like a sound-alike composer, like they've done with many of the expanded Star Wars projects, where someone just copies the John Williams style? It didn't sound like actual John Williams to me, but then according to the credits, the closing credits, it says music composed by John Williams. So that's what I'm talking about with this concept of this movie being created by an AI. It looks like Indiana Jones, it sounds like Indiana Jones, it kind of feels like Indiana Jones, but it exists in this weird, uncanny valley of reality. Figuratively speaking, I mean. And lastly, I will say that this movie is probably better than The Crystal Skull. You couldn't really do worse than The Crystal Skull unless you were trying, I suppose. Ultimately, I will rate this movie out of anachronistic artifacts. Out of 5 anachronistic artifacts, I will give Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny 3 out of 5 anachronistic artifacts. I don't think the movie deserves to be performing as weakly as it has been in the box office. However, it's just like a poor marksman. It comes close, but just misses the target. And there you have it. Expect some more Cinema Quickies coming soon, because there's a couple of notable movies coming out in the near future. So stay tuned for that. But closing out the show today, this is Eric. And until next time, the parking lot is yours.